Hello friends, this is Ganesh and video number 7 on object-oriented programming. So this is again a continuation of the concept called inheritance, and here we are going to see about the constructor concept on inheritance. We already seen about constructor. So constructor is a special method. It calls either way, whenever you create an object, it calls the instant constructor, or whenever you are calling or you're trying to access any class attribute, then your static constructor might call. So now we are in a concept of inheritance. So we'll just go through how the constructors are getting called from the superclass and subclass. Okay, so once you're good with constructor, so this is very simple for you. Let's get into that slide first. So if you take a superclass, you have static or instant constructor. It's both are optional. So if that depends, if the requirement needs, then you can have it. And once you inherit or derive a subclass based on the superclass, if the constructors are available, then automatically the preference goes to superclass constructor first. Okay, so you have a subclass constructor, you're trying to create an object, it goes to the superclass constructor if it is available or implemented. It trigger the particular code or the method or concept, whatever inside the constructor, it just executed it, then it comes to the subclass constructor. So that is the hierarchy of the constructor in inheritance concept. So this is my subclass. Subclass also has its own constructor. So the green one I mentioned is a subclass constructor, instant and static, and the red one or orange, whatever it is, that is a superclass constructor. Okay, so once you derive, automatically those constructors also I'm not saying it's derived, but it's available. Excuse me, because you're not able to see the superclass constructor in the subclass. It's like a normal method or attribute. Once you inherited, you're able to see, right? But here you're not able to see your superclass constructor in your subclass window. I can say in SE24 you are not able to see that. Okay. Few points about the constructors before getting to the system. Super and subclass constructors are optional because previously we have done with inheritance concept. We created a superclass and subclass, but we didn't go through or we didn't create constructors in both the classes. Okay, so constructors are optional for an inheritance concept, I'm saying. And subclass can have a constructor without superclass constructor. It's meaning superclass doesn't have a constructor. Can I have a subclass constructor? Yes, you can have. So subclass constructor means subclass. Okay, coming to the O or designing. Based on the design, subclass needs some data to be manipulated before calling any method. Superclass doesn't have that option, means doesn't require that option. So subclass can have its own constructor. It may be static or instance. So that does not depends on your superclass constructor. So superclass doesn't have a constructor. No issues. You can have a subclass constructor as well. So that is the meaning. So subclass can have a constructor even though superclass doesn't have. And there is some syntax to be followed. Need to call the superclass instant constructor even if the superclass doesn't have an instant constructor. I'm talking about instant, not static. Even though if superclass doesn't implement the instant constructor, but you have to call this using super keyword from your subclass constructor. I will show you in the system. Okay, so the point is, if you have a subclass constructor and you have to call your superclass constructor even though if it is not implemented. Okay, so in future if it is implemented, automatically it will call. So that is the syntax one. If not, you will get a syntax error. And then superclass static constructor call automatically if it is implemented. So because both the constructors are optional in superclass, so if it is implemented, automatically the preference go to superclass static constructor for first. Before accessing any class attribute, the static should call. In the inheritance concept, even though you are calling or creating an object for maybe the fifth subclass, it will go and trigger your superclass static constructor first then furthermore the remaining subclasses it will call. Okay, so this is the concept of how we are going to use the constructor in the inheritance concept. Anything else? No. Okay, let me take you into the system. One more point I want to clarify. Suppose if you have instant constructor in a superclass and you doesn't have any instant constructor in your subclass or classes, so what happens? Your superclass instant constructor will be available in your subclass methods tab. Okay, I can say it will be visible. Okay, that is the correct word. Superclass constructor instant constructor will visible to your subclass methods tab if subclass doesn't have a instant constructor, means doesn't create an instant constructor. Until if you create a subclass instant constructor, automatically the visible portion of your constructor superclass constructor will be disabled, meaning not disabled, it actually just moved out of your method tab, because you can't have two constructor, means two method with the same name. It's a basic rule, right? So once you create a subclass constructor, automatically superclass constructor visibility is gone in your subclass, but still it's available. Still is going to call the superclass constructor only, but in the visibility level I'm saying it won't be visible in your subclass. Same thing for further down subclasses as well. Static constructor is different. It won't visible in your subclass at all, even though if you have or doesn't have the static subclass static constructor. Okay, I will show you that, but keep this in your mind. So when you can able to see the instant, you can able to see only the instant constructor of your superclass in your subclass. Static, forget about it, it won't. But when it is visible, until your subclass doesn't have an instant constructor, in that point it will be visible in the blue color. Once you create it, automatically that will be moved out of your subclass method. Only subclass constructor is visible in a black color font. Okay, let's see in the system. So this is my system, and I have a superclass. I'm using the same classes what I have used previous video. In this superclass, where it is gone, one sec. Okay, this is my superclass, and this is my subclass first level, and this is my another subclass, maybe hierarchy level, second level. I have the subclass. Okay, so this is a superclass for this second subclass is my first subclass, means hierarchy level I'm saying. Okay, ZJI underscore sub. So this is superclass for the subclass 2. Both subclasses doesn't have any constructors. So let me clarify that. So all this is inherited methods in blue color, and sub 2. Okay, the first one also inherited method, as well as it has its own method. So this is available, and this is redefined because in black color, not editable mode. In the name wise I'm saying you can't change the name of your inherited attributes. That is not possible. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a constructor in my superclass. Okay, just the instance constructor. Just click create constructor, and just act toward it. I didn't have any code right now. Okay, now go to your subclass, maybe refresh or just go out and come back. Okay, this is actually a source based, like source code based format. Suppose if you want to see how we have to write the local class for your SE24. So this is an easy way to learn how to write the code for local class, especially for inheriting. Okay, so here I'm defining ZJI sub definition public, and I'm using create inheriting from which class. Okay, so those things is available. Okay, source code level you are able to see over here. Is nothing but local class. So there is a button over here, form based or source based. So just click, it's a toggle button. Form based normally we use to do it, and if you want to say, you have an option called source code based. Okay, so I didn't go out, I just triggered these two, toggled, so kind of a refresh happened. So you are able to see constructor in blue color. Okay, So here, this is normal constructor, I mean superclass constructor, and these are your superclass methods, and this is also superclass method, but it's got redefined, and this is your subclass method. Okay. So now, if I create a constructor for a subclass, automatically this will be I can't say disable, it's just moved out of your subclass. Okay, so only in the display level I'm saying, but still it has its own functionality. It should call only the superclass constructor first. Okay, because you can have both methods with same name. Okay, now I'm going to create a subclass constructor. You can see over here it's blue now. Just click constructor. Okay, and just save. While activate, I'll get an error. I'll show you what is the error. Just click check. It shows the constructor method must call the constructor of the superclass. So that is the syntax. Even if it is there or not, I will delete and I will show you the same error. So what I have to do is I go to constructor and keep the word, use the word super constructor. Okay, then it will allow you to activate your subclass along with the subclass constructor. So this is a very basic syntax for constructor, instant constructor. Okay, so now go back or do some refresh kind of things. So I'm not, so some settings got changed, so it's every time it goes to source code based, then it comes to form based. So now you can see the constructor in blue color, the first line got disabled or it just removed from the list, and you can able to see another method called the same name constructor in black color. So black is nothing but its own class method. So if you have a subclass constructor, instant constructor, automatically your superclass constructor will be moved out of your list. Okay, so what I can do is let me move this also, because I want to show you the constructor in the last level of your subclass. So then I can add subclass own constructor. Let me delete it. Activate it. Okay, now you can see the constructor is again back to the list because I deleted my subclass constructor. So there is no constructor, then the superclass constructor will be in place. Okay, now go to the other level of subclass, one more level down. Here also you're able to see where is it? Okay, I need to refresh, go back. Okay, I want a form based. So here also you can see the constructor. Got it? If you double click, it will show where it got implemented. It shows method constructor is implemented in class super, because my first level of subclass doesn't have any constructor, so automatically it goes to superclass constructor only. Just click continue, it will take you to the superclass instant constructor. So this is about the instant constructor visibility. So when it is visible in your subclass, when it got moved out of your subclass. Let me have a where it is, static constructor. Okay, static constructor is nothing but class constructor and activate it. So I don't have any code. Okay, so now go to subclass and do some refresh. Maybe I can just go back. Just again display. Go to form based. Okay, so here you are not able to see class constructor. So the visibility of class constructor is only available in superclass only. It won't display. I'm saying display, but still you're able to access this. But in a display level, you are not able to see in your subclass things. So furthermore, subclass, one more level down. Display. Form based. See, only instances visible. Okay, so for clear, when it's got visible in subclasses. Now let's create a sub constructor for a subclass and see how it gets triggered. Okay. Okay, or before that, let me execute my down level. What is that? Subclass 2. I'm going to execute something. So you know about instant constructor, right? I don't have any write statement. Okay, let me have some write statement. So then only we just come to know, okay, this is superclass constructor is getting called. Let me go to superclass constructor, instant constructor, write superclass instant constructor, and this is superclass static constructor. Activate it. Don't activate both. So let me go to my program. That is easy way to understand. So when it's getting triggered and everything instead of AC24. So let me go to my program. So here the sub object is going to call my super instance method. So whatever it is, let me execute this first. Okay, it's got connected with debugging. So first it calls superclass static constructor and then superclass instant constructor. This we already discussed. So static is always first and then instant constructor. And I call one more method of superclass. So it calls the superclass instant method and then I redefine it. So it's just subclass implementation of the superclass method. Okay, so these two is from the previous videos. How we redefine a class in methods. It just appeared over here. Now what I'm going to do was, let me take out the breakpoint. Okay, so whenever let me call my subclass instance method. Okay, or I can say I'm going to create another object for my subclass object 2, second subclass new CGI sub underscore 2. Let me close this underscore 2. I think I don't have any independent method of this second level subclass, so let it be. I'm going to call some methods, just act toward it and execute. It just calls the superclass static constructor first and superclass instant constructor, then normal 2 method. So it's called superclass attribute queued. Okay, because the method has a write statement which is coming from the superclass attributes. That's why these values are coming. So now we are going to see mostly with the constructor how it's getting called. So I'm going to have subclass own constructor, have a class subclass own instant constructor and subclass own static constructor. So let's get into the method and just keep the code. It's just simple write statement. Write. This is subclass 1 instance constructor. And this one is subclass 1 static constructor. Okay. So let's comment few lines. There is one implementation. Okay, yeah, I missed it. So here I already mentioned you have to call your instant constructor. So go here, just constructor, but it's showing implementation missing. Let me activate this, then come to the another error. This is not the related to the super constructor. This is the another error we are expecting. The constructor method must call the constructor of the superclass. Even though if it is implemented or not implemented, you have to call it. So here super constructor, then activate. Okay, done. Let me go to subclass method. This is the one which I am calling from the program. Let me command some write statement, otherwise it gives some different write statements, so not able to understand how the constructor is getting called. So let me comment it and go to the program and then just execute it. So what happens, the expectation is it will call your superclass static constructor first, and then superclass instant constructor, then followed by subclass constructors. So it shows like superclass static constructor and superclass static subclass static. Sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah, the hierarchy would be static is always first. So superclass static constructor, then subclass static constructor, then superclass instant constructor, and then subclass instance constructor. Okay, so if you have one more down level subclass 2, if you enable the constructor for subclass, so all the static will call first superclass static and subclass 1 static, subclass 2 static, and then superclass instance, subclass 1 instance, and subclass 2 instance constructor is getting called. So if you know the hierarchy of the constructor in the inheritance concept, then it will be very easy for you to just keep the specific code depends on your requirement. So this is very simple. That's why I always say go with some simple write statement. Try to understand the concept and the hierarchy of the triggering point, especially in the inheritance and in constructor in the inheritance. So then it's very easy to understand. Then you can make use of it for your requirement or design. So just play around with this. If you have any doubt, please let me know. Thank you so much for your time. See you in the next video.